Welcome, everybody, to The Vine and the Veil, the podcast where we dive between worlds to explore the mysteries of the light and the dark, the wisdom of the spiritual, the wonder of the mystical, and the power of the supernatural. I'm your host, Carlos, and this is my co-host,
Maria.
And in today's episode, we're going to talk about attachments, exorcisms, and all the really spooky, demonic-y sort of things. So let's get started. When did you first believe that demons or exorcists and stuff like that were real?
When I first watched The Exorcism, I must have been 5, 6.
Yeah.
Not sure why our parents let us watch that kind of movie so young, but I do remember that the power of Christ compels you. Pea soup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Exorcist was a very scary movie.
Yes.
I remember we were at our cousin's house or their apartment because they had cable. And one of our older cousins was actually watching it, and so they let us watch the whole thing. That's how we watched it.
Oh.
So you were 5, and I was 8.
Mm-hmm.
I was 8, and so it's one of those things where you're at such an impressionable age,
Mm-hmm.
and given the fact that you've grown up in a religious household,
oh yeah,
it just cemented that fear in you of the devil and the demonic entities and things like that. And it was just, it stuck with, for me, it stuck with me for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And you start hearing about the movie and what happened, and then you start diving into the accounts of the documentary of the boy that it actually happened to.
Book. Yeah.
The boy that it happened to, the story in the hospital, and how they sealed off the hospital room because of the residual energy and the presence of that sort of thing. And then as you go into the Catholic Church, you start hearing about exorcisms that have been run, and you go into a lot of other cultures, and there is this idea of people that can cast out these entities, spirits, attachments, or whatever. So it's a super interesting topic to talk about. I wonder how much of it has to do with your core belief system, in the fact that you believe in good and evil, or you've been taught to believe that there's good and there's evil, and good always triumphs over evil, but evil is around, and it's mischievous, and it does these things, and it likes to take over people and corrupt people for no other reason that it can. So I'd like to hear your thoughts.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Given you saying all that, have you ever met somebody that gave you like the EBGB so much that you're like, you know what? I think that person's possessed.
No, I've met people, because here's the thing. As you go down this journey, you start understanding more about how energy works and stuff like that. You start recognizing people and seeing their traumas, all the things that have happened to them. And so you can kind of see how they operate based on those things. I've never met somebody who I would consider that has that kind of negative energy about them. I've met people that are like, ugh, they just make you feel oppressed.
Yeah.
You feel like this pressure in your chest kind of thing, or been in an area where it's like that, where the energy's so heavy. That's the best way you can describe it. It's like a
heaviness,
dense energy. And we have a tendency as human beings to identify those things with
associated to something
evil, or label it as something, because that's how we can try to process it. And depending on how our belief systems are set up and how we're raised, we tend to make that connection.
I have to say, I'm pretty sure I met somebody that was possessed. Okay, so my psych rotation, I saw the gamut. There was someone that thought she was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. There were people that had dissociative disorder. But there was one lady, we were outside for their, I guess they're like PE moments. This lady was probably in her 30s. And there was something about her, like she had pitch black eyes. But it was the way out of everyone there, and I don't know, like maybe I was giving off a vibe that she was intimidating me, although everyone, come to find out, was intimidated by her. But her whole essence was pure evil, like not even sociopath, like beyond sociopath.
But what did she get? What was she in there for?
I can't disclose those things. Beyond sociopath. But she was like she would scan you, and it was just like the worst, creepiest black sludge of energy was looking at you. It was like the weirdest experience I ever had in my life, is being around this one person that exuded that much negative or low vibration.
Yeah.
Like it was,
I think it's a
I mean, it
vibrational
could have been a
frequency.
vibration, but she, like, if there was anything that came close to that and someone being possessed, that would have been a good example of it. Like she felt pure evil, and whatever I would assume would be somebody with a demonic possession, like interacting with me. And she would follow me. She would follow me, and she would just stare at me. She wouldn't even say anything, just like stare at me. And she was totally creepy. Totally creepy.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
I've never met anybody not like that. Not like that. You can see people that sometimes their energy is a little bit leaning that way, and it's very heavy and very dense, and you try to stay away from those kind of people because you're just like, this is going to lead to no good or nowhere.
No good. Yeah.
But like meeting somebody who has an attachment like that, I've never met anybody there.
Yeah. That was an interesting situation. I do believe in demonic possession. I think that there are, maybe not necessarily the devil, but mischievous beings out there that can inhabit a person, and then change them. There was and this was most recent, maybe about like 7 years ago. My sister came up to visit Northern California, and she wanted to go to one of the churches over in San Jose, and I didn't know why. There was a statue of a Virgin Mary out there that was like super huge. So I humored her. I was like, okay, let's go. And as we're walking to the statue, we're passing by the place where the priests live. I can't remember what that's called. And as we're walking by there, I'm like, whoa, this feels really heavy. And it actually felt like the way I felt when I was around that woman. And I was like, there's something like that felt, once we got to where the Virgin Mary was, that felt good. But as we were walking through that area, I felt like shit had gone down in that place. Like whether it was exorcisms or the battle between like good and bad. And then come to find out afterwards, like I was so obsessed about like this feeling, because it was like, this was something negative. This is something that, like, for me, I know what that feeling was, that I started Googling in the car, like whether or not that was a place where exorcisms happen. So come to find out, the priest that the book The Rite was written after actually practiced there at that church. So I was like, what are the coincidences that I would feel that? And then later on, like almost validate that maybe they didn't do anything there, but that there was this energy that was in that area that just floated around that area.
Yeah. For me now, knowing what I know and knowing about the universe and energy and stuff, I don't believe that there are demonic entities that exist. I think there are energies out there that operate at different frequencies and vibrations and stuff. And ultimately, nothing can happen to you unless you let it and you believe it to be so. And then if you believe it to be so, of course, things will start manifesting for you and start happening for you. So for us, for example, we were indoctrinated into a religion that was very much about good and evil, and good versus evil, and you want to be on the good side, and everything else that's not is evil, and evil takes this form, and good takes this form. But that's not true, because a lot of the people that were in the religion that we were practicing were not very good people.
No, they were not.
They were not.
We come to find out they were all pedophiles
or whatever it was, right? So I don't think that whole idea of religion and stuff is created to control people. And what better way to control people than by controlling your soul? So if you don't do these things, then you're going to become possessed, or the devil is going to take over, or these demons are going to let them in. They're creating that narrative to keep you controlled.
Usually the people that become influenced in that state, that become possessed, they're usually extremely oppressed to begin with, and almost an open vessel for something to come in,
because they
right?
attract that
They're almost
energy.
welcoming it in. So that's why I do believe that. I mean, you are looking at people that were probably at like their lowest low, and chances are they were on something that would also like leave them open to, whether it's suggestion or
Yeah.
whatever it is, but have this thing come in and take over their life
Yeah. If you allow it.
if you
I
allow it.
think that's the
And
whole
that's the
thing.
thing, is that they're allowing it because there's like, at that point, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
And then you're allowing the worst to
You're giving away
happen.
your power.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key to it, is that you give away the authority to be able to allow whatever dense energy or frequency, or you operate on that frequency.
Right.
And because you're operating on that frequency, you're attracting everything that comes in
Yeah.
with that frequency.
Do I believe that there are people misdiagnosed as, having demonic possession and they really have a psychiatric problem? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think more of that happened than probably anything else. Especially, back in the days where women were, hyperactive, or I forgot that they were the actual words of what they were labeling women of, having hysteria.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah,
hysteria.
the hysteria moments. And that wasn't a thing. That's, again, men taking away power. So I do think that there's something to what you're saying, but I have felt what, in my opinion, is that energy.
Yeah, and I think that also, if you look at it from your perspective, right, the narrative that you created from that was based on how you grew up.
Yeah, I
And
suppose so.
all of the everything that you've learned up until that point, you automatically saw that lady and you labeled her as evil because
Right.
of the energy or the presence that you felt there, when it might not have been evil at all.
Oh no, she was 1,000%
I don't know.
evil. I know, because like I said, I have met many people along the way that had that, kind of gave that impression, and they weren't. That was, out of all the experiences I've had in my life, that was the only person that actually gave that energy, the only person. And it was fascinating and scary at the same time. But going along with it, like, we were very Catholic, and the power that we give things, like, how we had a book that was handed down from a priest that had the rites of exorcism in it. We had holy water galore. Like, every time that, the Good Friday came along, that was the reset of the holy water for the next year.
Yep.
We would come Easter Sunday, we were refilling on the new batch of holy waters. But there's power in that, though. I do believe that there's power to the water, whether it be power that we give it or power that it makes it blessed and even more powerful. Different cultures do the same thing, even to Florida water. Like, this is something that in witchcraft, that is something that is used to battle entities and spirits. So I do believe that there's something to that. But again, being devil's advocate here, is that the power that we are giving it
Yes.
to be able to protect us?
I believe that's the case because let's say, for example, we believe in the holy water, we believe in Ankhs, we believe in the evil eye. You, at some point in your life, you heard from somebody that this is the thing that's going to protect you. So you develop that narrative and that belief in your mind that that's what's going to give you that protection. Where ultimately it's you assigning that intention, that energy to that thing that's actually going to protect you. Because these things they're just things, they're material. Yes, they have a vibration inherently of their own, but you have to assign that to them.
Did you ever have an experience, especially since, like I said, we all know the background by now. If you're new to us, you don't. You were raised very Catholic. When you were in a state of fear of whether it was like us seeing ghosts or whatever it was, knowing the prayers by heart, not being able to say them.
Yeah, I would always say them.
I had that happen to me multiple times, whether it was in a dream where I was like controlling my dream and trying to break whatever nightmare I was in. The one prayer that always came through for me was the St. Michael prayer. That was the only one that I could recite every single time. Lord's Prayer, nope. Hail Mary, nope. But the one that was always there that I could say and then would break whatever it was the St. Michael prayer.
That's because your belief was so strong that was going to happen.
Probably.
And you were able to call in that energy.
Yeah.
Whatever, because again, the idea of these angels that have these attributes to them, those were created by the church.
Yeah.
There's no historical evidence that these angels actually existed. There is the Bible that says that they existed, right? So all of these, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of belief that are tied to that, right? And if you have enough people believing in it, things happen. And I think it's the same thing for any of these deities or anything else. It's the attributes and the energies of these things that you can then use to be able to augment your own energy to provide protection or whatever it is that you're doing there, right? In that sense. And I think that's it. And it's the same thing for, people have labeled, certain deities negative energies.
Right, like Lilith.
But they're not. They're not. Yeah. They're energies that exist for you to channel to be able to accomplish things, but they have attributes that have been given to them by people. Somebody gave them that. Somebody created that story and gave them that, and people believed. Right. And because of that belief, these things now manifest.
Right. So like cryptids that didn't exist before, now they may or may not be a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. We like to label things, right? We like to label everything because that's how we're able to try to understand it or put it in a box. And some things you just can't label.
Right.
Right? Like the whole idea of Lucifer. Lucifer does not exist. Lucifer did not exist. Lucifer was a mistranslation. Somebody was translating the Bible to Greek and mistranslated it. And they were talking about the king of Babylon. They were not talking about Lucifer. But because of that, the people took that and created the narrative that there was Lucifer, who was the fallen angel and who became the devil. Non-existent. So again, it's the power of story and the power of belief. So now when people say Lucifer, they're like, oh my God, Lucifer. But he was just somebody's mistranslation that somebody then carried on and created this whole story behind that a bunch of people fell into and believed that didn't check, didn't do any sort of research because they believed.
Because they believed in the people that were controlling everything.
They were told.
Yes, I do agree with that.
Right. So it's interesting, right? When you think about it from that standpoint, or the idea that, we'll get into starting to get more philosophical, that Jesus existed.
I believe there was a man.
I believe that there was a man who was probably very
high vibration.
He was very high vibrational. He did a lot of research. He understood, and he was trying to preach spirituality and the fact that you are God. You are the Son of God, just like he was.
Right.
But again, people who don't understand that, we have a tendency to want to put people and things on a pedestal.
Yes.
Right? And worship them, as opposed to understanding that we are exactly that.
Right.
So it changes your perspective on kind of the world and this entire what's the best way to put this? Things that have been created. There's no doubt I have no doubt that there are base energies out there that exist that have taken on many different forms in many different cultures according to the belief system of the culture. And those are things that you can use to channel energy to help you in some way. Whatever that is. Whether it's you want to accomplish something or you want to do harm to somebody or you want to protect something. There is no right or wrong in that viewpoint of the universe. The universe doesn't judge.
I do agree with that.
Right?
People judge.
People judge.
Yes. And in Christianity, they're some of the worst hypocrites out there.
I think that there is, when it comes to spirits and stuff, if you have grown up that way and you believe that exists, then your reality will start showing that.
I can see that.
Your reality will start showing those things, or you'll interpret them that way.
It's almost like essentially the whole thing, like you haven't seen a red car in months, right? And then you're like, you know what? I haven't seen a red car in months. And then all of a sudden you're seeing like 20 in the next 5 minutes. It's because we're manifesting it, because normally our mind is closed off to whatever it is, or we're manifesting that energy to bring it to a reality. And if we're in a sim or in a whatever it is, in a matrix kind of situation, even more so, right?
Right. So when you think about, let's think about Archangel Michael, or like say for example Anubis. There's history behind all of these, right? And there's a lot of narratives that have been created about Archangel Michael and how he's a protector, and he is he's the right hand to God, and so there's a huge belief in that.
Right.
So when you call that energy based on this of the Michael that we know, those are the attributes that you're going to want to pull from, but it's you leveraging that energy to do whatever it is, whether it's breaking, low vibrational energy, dissipating it or whatever. It's the same thing for like Anubis. Anubis is an older deity, but has these attributes of transformation, the underworld, moving people from one area to another. And so when you channel that, the energy, you're channeling those attributes. You're bringing those attributes to bear to kind of help you through things. Whether it's you're going through a transformation in your life, or you believe that that's going to help protect you in some way, then it'll be that way.
Yeah, I could see that.
So it's super fascinating when you start getting into some of the little more esoteric sides of it. It's not as cut and dry as I think religions want you to make it. So when you start saying, hey, good and evil, hey, they're part of the same spectrum. It's how you perceive it. Because I could be looking at something and you could go, man, that is bad. And I'd be like, no, it's not bad. I don't think it's bad.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of with the story of the cursed man, my first impression of the guy in New Orleans that was actually able to curse him, I was like, whoa, that was wicked. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, no, he wasn't wicked. He was just like, this is what you really want to do? Okay, I'll take care of it. So it wasn't really a negative thing. It was something where my perception of that gave it that vibration where if it hadn't been for my the pre-cognitive thing where I'm like, okay, this is what I associate to that kind of laugh and that kind of magic, then I had my bias that played into it.
Right. And it's your belief systems that tie into that. And so I think that's one of the big things about this whole discussion is if you truly believe in exorcism and that demons are real, they will be real for you.
Yeah.
But another person who doesn't believe in that and maybe believes in something else specifically will show a different reality.
Correct.
It won't be that way.
I believe that's true.
You give power to whatever it is that's there. And I think that in your reality, you are such a powerful being that whatever you want to manifest will manifest in the way that you want it to manifest.
Ready for that lottery jackpot to hit. Not that I ever play it, but still want it.
Get the supernatural
lottery.
Yeah, get the supernatural lottery. And the next thing you know, you have like this whole place is filled with beings and entities.
Oh God, no.
As a sanctuary space.
A sanctuary for the spirits. No, thank you. I already have a hard enough time sleeping just with the dogs and the cats doing what they do every night. Yeah.
But I think that's the fascinating part about all of this is the more you start delving into it and the more you expand your awareness and the more you open yourself up to the possibilities of other things that are just not what your core belief system has been trained to do, that's when your world starts growing.
You can see that.
Right? Because think about our religion and how oppressive it actually was.
It was very oppressive.
And that you had to follow these rules. And if you didn't follow these rules, you were going to hell.
Yeah. Hell
does not exist. None of that exists.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I mean, if you believe it, yeah, okay, cool. You know, for you in this time and space, it'll exist. But then when your consciousness moves on, it'll move on.
Yeah. I don't know if I believe in a heaven or a hell. I do believe that there are beings and entities out there, but I don't know if I believe in a heaven. I believe in energy.
I believe in energy. I don't think that there is personally. I don't believe in the heaven or hell because I mean, it's weird that there would be a divine being that is all powerful, all knowing, and extremely kind that would create a hell and cast people into it because they didn't believe in him, her, them.
Right.
It's totally contradictory. It's a paradox, right? Because you're like all knowing, all seeing, all kindness and light and love.
Right.
But yet you're cool with souls being cast into the pit of darkness. And you know what I mean?
Like, why would you kill your son, let your son die to absolve people of their sins. No, I'm just saying, like, that narrative in itself is like,
of course,
mind blowing.
but it's all based on control.
Yeah, because it's control. He sacrificed so you all can live.
And now you owe.
And now you owe.
Right.
You owe the Catholicism or just Christianity, because
think about this. If you create, we're going to go down a road here, right? And it ties into spirits and demons and all this stuff, right? If you create this narrative, and this narrative is, I don't know, thousand years old, whatever, you have all of these people believing and giving their energy to this. This entity of the church needs that energy in order to continue to stay successful.
K-pop demon hunters.
So it needs to create these new people, all the people that get indoctrinated from the very beginning. We didn't have a choice.
Right.
We were brought in from the very beginning and immediately thrown into this religion.
Right.
So imagine all of those generations of people that are all believing the same thing and going through all of these rituals that have been created for control.
And there are so many rituals in the Catholic Church.
So many different rituals.
So many. Yeah.
So that's what you get.
Yeah. And for those of you that haven't had the pleasure of experiencing that, think about if you've watched K-pop Demon Hunters, right? It's very similar, where the K-pop Demon Hunters, their singing brings that energy, the positive, good energy. And then I don't know the name of the bad realm or the bad people. But when they're singing, it brings in the negative vibrations, and then everyone morphs into that. So again, it's that group consciousness that ends up morphing whatever is out there for you, whatever energy is going to rule for you. Right. So it's interesting concept.
Here's keeping on with K-pop Demon Hunters. This is the kind of how I believe us to be as beings. We have both sides. We are both, if you want to, again, it's the same side of the spectrum. We as human beings tend to label things. So for the human being standpoint, we are both light and dark. We have both sides. And we have to have both sides in order to truly experience on this planet. So imagine you have a religion, or you've been told for the entirety of your life that this side is the side that you need to be on. This side is bad, and you never explore this side. Well, then you're not whole. You're never whole until you actually fully start delving into this side and understanding the opposite part of you and experiencing those experiences. Because how can you speak on any of this stuff on this side if you haven't gone through it on this side, if you haven't lived it? And I think that's what we as human beings need to understand and need to be able to accept. But society is not geared to do that. And so it comes up with all of these things that demonize the number 13, the number 666 is now associated with the devil when it never was.
Do you remember, Grandma?
Yeah.
We wouldn't use Procter and Gamble because they were evil.
They had the demons.
They had the demon symbols on them. Yeah.
So all of that stuff that's not understood or ultimately not inherently bad has been labeled to be that way. And I think that's the case for a lot of deities, entities, things like that, because people don't understand and they need to unite people against something. And so what better way?
A better way of friction, or, even within our politics, whatever it is, like, you have to have that friction state for people to feel, essentially.
To feel a certain way. Now, granted, you've met some people. I think I've met some very low vibrational people. I wouldn't call them evil because they're just running at a different place in their journey. And maybe there are energetic attachments that are there that are very fond of that sort of thing. But I don't necessarily think that that's evil per se. I think that those people are at a certain point on their journey where they're trying to continue that, and eventually, hopefully, and maybe not in this lifetime, but eventually start moving through that and raising their vibration and their frequency, and attracting other things that are more beneficial in some way.
So in the aspect of me having met that person that had the low vibration, I remember my sister invited me to go and see a performer. at one of the meditation centers up here in Northern California. I didn't know anything about him, no back frame of reference, nothing like that. So I go into a bookshop to try to find a book that I had read on some Dharma from the Buddhist classes that I had taken in Palm Springs. And I loved the book, but I gave it to someone because they really needed it. So I'm going through there and I turn the corner and I see this person and I swear they're fucking glowing, like glowing this positive energy. No idea who it was until he walked on the stage. He turns around and looks at me and smiles. And again, like just like this pure, happy, glowing state. And it was shocking to me. And actually my husband like felt the same way. And then when he came on stage, we're like, oh, well, that makes sense. Because he was like a very spiritualistic kind of guy, positive, like energy, Buddhist practitioner. And it was just so weird going from, having that experience to seeing somebody that had this beautiful, pure energy about him. Now, come years later, we go to another concert. He did have some turmoil in his life where relationship kind of fell apart. So the next time I see him, that light wasn't there, which was really sad. But the first time I did meet him, like whatever was going on in his life right there, he had that energy and it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I think there is, when people are at peace with themselves, and if you are Buddhist, you believe in the middle way, which is basically being able to ride that line where you are not one side or the other, but you're kind of in that medium where you've experienced both sides and you're running this path. I think that you can recognize when somebody's at peace with themselves. Now, whether they're glowing or whatever, I think that there is something to be said for people exude energy in some way. But again, you have to be really careful with that because some people are really good projectors and they're very good about projecting what energy they want you to see.
No.
And so there's that, because again, this gets into all kinds of other stuff that's kind of wild when you create an identity and you start becoming that identity, that's what you'll project. And so for him,
that's true.
You could be like, hey, I got to be on and I got to project this energy of goodness and kindness and I'm feeling the vibe and everything's going. And that's what you'll radiate that for people when truly you're not really that.
It's almost like a religious cult, but I would not have followed him to a religious cult.
No, but some people will.
Some people probably would.
Yeah,
I think more women wanted to sleep with him than to.
I think there are people that you can meet where you're just like, I sense something about that person. I sense the best way you hear a lot of people talk about. I sense a light in them, and that's because their energy is very stable. And their vibration and that frequency that they're at it's in a good place.
Right.
So that's why you believe that.
I believe it was at a good place in that point.
Sure, but he's human, and
he is human.
He's we all
go through ups and downs.
Yeah, we go through experiences, and it's about how we decide to deal with those experiences. And sometimes you make choices and different things happen and you just have to keep moving forward. So it's really interesting that you saw somebody glow like that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever met anybody
I think it was like maybe his aura. It was just like, I've never seen something like that before where like the smile was just added to it, but like I saw like a white yellowish light just like around him.
Yeah, you probably saw his
and
aura.
it was fascinating. I do see auras in people every once in a while, but usually the good ones. I don't think I've ever actually seen a dark aura on someone. I only my brain only wants to focus on the good ones.
I've seen black auras before.
Yeah.
Yeah, smoky black, but that's more because their life is in turmoil.
Yeah.
And they have some major challenges that they're going through in their space. But I think that's again, it is a lot of it is, when you see something like that, you attach attributes to it.
Of course.
Right?
Well, our brain attaches what it knows, right?
Glowing in white and all this is good.
Right.
That's to you, right? Where black and smoky and all this is bad.
Yeah.
When it might not necessarily be, right? Because sometimes you might need the black and the smoky and somebody who's got that kind of aura to teach you things.
Oh, I mean, I think we learn something from everyone we encounter. Like, I don't think there was ever one interaction I've had with anyone that hasn't taught me something,
Well,
even if it was a couple
well, what did you learn
seconds,
from the evil lady that you said was evil?
to avoid evil people. I learned from her that true evil does exist in people. Um, and that I mean, I think that was the biggest one. I learned in that whole state of the state of broken people. Like I did learn that obviously like traumas lead to a lot of where people are in life.
Yes.
They're not taught coping mechanisms. Um, but a lot of the the people that were in there wanted help. Like
Yeah.
they were trying to seek help. Now, it wasn't a place where it was, more of the impoverished place for psychiatric help versus it being a place where like you would put yourself in for rehab or anything like that. So it was the good and the bad, and people that have done bad things in their life as well were in that place.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't her full background, I mean, there are things that had been done that the normal person wouldn't do. But also there was like that innate energy of it. Like I don't there was never a frame of reference other than, the darkness that I felt and saw in her eyes. I mean, I'm sure everybody else had different eyes than what I saw, but I saw like pitch black eyes. It was crazy.
It's wild, isn't it?
It's pretty wild.
All right. So, on Pitch Black, I think that's a perfect way to end it. Like, I mean, if you guys have ever encountered somebody like that, that's like, that you feel is super low vibrational or evil, we'd love to hear about it, because I think that's, hearing people's stories and their encounters is also pretty fascinating.
Ever had an exorcism or know about an exorcism
or participated in an
exorcism? I would love to hear that.
Yeah, that would be an interesting story to tell for sure. Again, there's so many different religions, philosophies, ideas. Some of this stuff spans multiple cultures. And so we would love to know more, because I think part of the reason why we're doing this podcast is not only just to talk about our experiences and our point of view, but it's also to kind of understand and continue to learn and grow ourselves. So
absolutely,
we'd love to hear from you, and stay tuned for another episode. We don't know what it's going to be yet, but we'll come up with something.
We still
really
need
cool.
Vampire Part 2.
Yeah, Vampire Part 2 will come a little bit later, but hear from you soon.
Take care.
Bye.